welcome to Vital Moments podcast. I feel like that countdown was like extra hype because this is our first Vital Moments of the year, and I'm so excited that I get to be part of this conversation today. But I am Amy Stevenson. I'm the Connections Coordinator at the Poplar Hill site, and I am here with Ronald, the lead pastor of
Well, the funny thing is about the countdown is I hit my not starting well. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't think people see that, but we get a countdown that helps us know when we're starting. And so in that 5 seconds, we're like all doing funny things. And
I think I'll be serious. Okay, let's go.
Then we come on, we're super serious.
Super serious because this is a really super serious podcast.
That's right.
Okay, so on the topic of super serious, 2025 has arrived.
It is here.
A week in almost. But
so
yes, go ahead.
Curious. Like I was thinking about this the other day. It was 25 years ago that we were all thinking the world was coming to an end. Mm-hmm. Do you know that night Desiree planned for us as a family and some other families? We went to Laser Quest and played Laser Quest over the midnight hour. And I don't know if she thought we were going to end up having to use these things when the world came to an end, or but we
practicing now.
We were practicing, right? The world coming to an end. Here we are 25 years later.
Yeah.
We made it.
So I was using math. So I was 12 that year, or turning 12. And I clearly remember thinking this was the end, 100%.
Yeah.
And our church always did like a New Year's thing. So I remember being at church and we actually missed the countdown. Like during the service, all of a sudden they're like, oh, it was like 5 minutes ago. And I just remember like the breath of relief, like, oh, we're all still here and alive. Okay, we're good. Like, that's so wild. So,
and that's interesting how it's a learning, right?
Yeah.
When culture uses fear in their communication, we have to be very aware that, they're not seeking our best interests. So anyway, but there was church people too back then that were all thinking Jesus is coming back. And I love what David Campbell says, never trust the news for the return of Christ. But anyway, we must press on. We can't get that serious right away.
Yeah, no. But I think it's actually really good leading because you just talked about how the world does not have our best interest in mind. And there's often that tone of fear in all of our news, or just anytime you talk about anything, talk about the economy, talk about school systems, your kids, all this stuff. There is a lot of fear around that. And so I think that leads us really well into our theme for this year that you announced to the communities yesterday, which was
Behold.
With the curtain back.
Pull the cover off the car. You know what? Amy, I want to go back. You said something about fear in our culture. I was watching the World Junior game last night, or was it the Leaf game? I was flipping back and forth between the two of them. And there's a financial company that has a commercial right now on TV, and it's a slug. And it's like going across really slow, and it's listing off all the fears of, on paper, I look really good, but why do I fear? Why I lie awake at night? Are my parents going to have to move in with me? And then it says like, am I getting fat? All these things. And then it just says, well, at least I'm moving. And I got to tell you, a few friends of mine have been texting about this commercial, because there's another one as well. And it's just this slug. I stop and I listen, because I just love the fact that, they're using some of the reality of what we face in our lives for their financial business. But I don't know. I just think that there's something about this year that there's going to be some of us that overcome fear through this word, behold. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you pulled this really from, we were at so my Connect group meets on Sundays, and we were kind of laughing at the 12 verse 2 seems to be a theme, because you're bouncing between Romans 12:2 and Isaiah 12:2, which is just really cool how those aligned, but also just had so much truth within them that is even practical to our lives around this word, behold, not world.
Yeah.
Do you want to unpack that piece for us a little bit on how those two kind of work together, but also really around that Isaiah piece?
Yeah, the Isaiah 12:2 is the verse that when we were getting ready and thinking and praying about what would our theme be for 2025, it started emerging, to be honest with you, back in our sabbatical, back in May, June, July, when Desiree and I were away. We both kind of identified this word kept popping up, and we use it obviously in our Christmas services. But there was something about the word that we realized that the word from the Bible's perspective is sort of this idea of the quickness in which you pay attention to something, or it's the gaze upon, or it's this idea of the anticipation of something. So behold, God is my salvation at the first part of Isaiah 12:2. It was this idea of, okay, 2025 for Vitalpoint Church, a year to behold. So our focus needs to be on God, where we are captured by him. We are gazing upon him through the person of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit in our lives, so that we can be prepared for the great things that what God is going to do in and through our obedience to him. And so there was a piece of it where I wanted us to be postured well for 2025, in that it's kind of like 2024 was unwavering faith, that the boldness that we would need to step forward into 2024 is leading us into 2025 with this really powerful word. And I really loved, Amy, how Isaiah flowed that verse, as he, behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid, and I will not be afraid. The declaration of that.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's a piece of that, Amy, that, and I said it online, I said it to our video sites, I said it in person, that I believe that some of us this year are going to have our lives disrupted in a way to carry an assignment that fulfills God's greater purpose in our lives. And the disruption will be in our comfy, convenient lives that we've created in order to live into the good things he's created for us. Ephesians 2:10 talks about we are his masterpiece, created for good works. And so for me, you have to be captured and gaze upon God through Christ by the Spirit in our lives in order to find that way forward with the trust and not being afraid. And that's a tall task. I get it. We as humans, I mean, you and I talk about it off screens and behind the scenes, and we both recognize the reality, even for us as a church, like take it beyond the personal and take it into community. I mean, we talk a lot about what God is doing, and there are times that we talk about this where, boy, there's a certain amount of fear, pressure, weight, and I just think that going into 2025 with this talk on Behold leads us to the place where I can learn to grow in my trust and learn to grow in this area of not allowing fear to be driving force in my life.
Yeah. Because we have a big season ahead of us as a church. And of course, like, everyone's got their lives and their things too, but then also as the community of believers that we're a part of, or community of people that are exploring these things, there's a lot ahead of us. And it's been exciting, even over the last few years, of watching us gain a better understanding of who we are as a church and community, our kingdom assignment, like you say. And realizing that some of the anchors that hold us firm in our mission and vision, like I think of even like our alphas and how we're growing those and using those to start like student ministries and grow those things and reach students and people that have questions and all these exploring things. And so when we look at this year ahead, for us as a church specifically, there are some exciting things ahead, but then the exciting things also come with, this is going to be a lot of work, a lot of unknowns. And you gave our community a really great even list of like action steps to take, of like, hey, this all sounds exciting, but we're all part of this. And it requires us.
Before we get to the action steps, let me just recap what we talked about, because there's people that maybe missed it. And I think that there's an element of I would say it like this, Amy. I love the beginning of a new year because we are collectively again moving forward. So all the people that maybe came at Christmas that came back on Sunday, it's like together we get a restart. So when you think about 2025, we've got the greenhouse residency starting this week. Like, Amy, that's 4 people that like we had 7 apply. 4 we're offering it to. They took the greenhouse residency. Start this week. We're going to give them theological training, leadership training. They are going to lead and serve somewhere in the church 10 hours a week, and for the next 2 years. And then we're going to have another group come in again next year and restart another system. And I just think this is an enormous responsibility. We also have the network that we believe God is opening up the door for us to help churches in small towns. But then it's the alpha. And then I kind of had fun with the reality of, and we're going to meet every 7 days. Yeah. And we're going to continue to do student ministries across and grow student ministries in other sites. So we're going to continue to develop serving team environments. And the series that we're going to do in a few, after this next series of 4 weeks, I believe it's right into the spiritual gifts series leading us to Easter. Like, Amy, this is, if people are prepared to just enter in and trust and move forward, this is going to be a year it'll be a year to behold. You know what I mean? Like and I think I keep saying that word. I think I wish I could stop saying it. Because really, who cares what I think? I have a deep conviction. There's the word. This is a pivotal year for us.
Yeah, for sure.
2025. It just feels, in the sense that we have, that there's something special that is happening. And this year will be a year of redefining even our future. And I think, there we go again. One of the powerful things about Vitalpoint Church is that we're not settling in on, let's just hold the fort. Right. We want to meet every 7 days. We want to continue to do the same things. As people change, as the world evolves, as the church steps into these moments, and even I'm bunny trailing completely. It's good. But I think even in a supernatural aspect, people are pursuing. I listened to this podcast by Carey Nieuwhof, and he talked about the young adults. There's a revival and a retreat. And the revival is an interest in spiritual things. It doesn't always mean they're interested in Christian spiritual things. They're going to be pursuing spiritual things in supernatural ways and lots of other environments and lots of other contexts. And what is so beautiful about Christ and the power of Christ through the church is the supernatural working of Christ can give evidence to who he is. Think about this one young guy at our Poplar Hill site. I was going through his social media, and he posted this video after Alpha, and he talked about the supernatural work of God in his life overcoming anxiety. And he was just sharing it on his platform. He's got a huge platform on Instagram. And I was so blown away by this. This is what we're seeing and experiencing. And I believe that it started after the anniversary service, Amy.
I actually, when I was reflecting on this morning, because you did a real quick recap of last year for us as a church and the things that happened, the many, many things that we had to celebrate. Obviously, there are difficulties in the midst of those celebrations and tricky things to work out because it's people, it's real life. But I was reflecting on like what was maybe the piece that shifted, because it does feel different this year. And I'm not even trying to say like, oh, it's a new year, it's all different and new. But like there is, even in our gathering in Poplar Hill yesterday, I know the gatherings at the other sites had a few technical issues and some different things to overcome. But there is definitely a sense of a shift and of difference. I've been thinking of last year, and I'm like, I really do think it was the anniversary, and we all for days, so that whole week after, we're like, what happened? And I think there's been a piece where we're still like, you know what, I don't know, but it was God, and there's an awe and wonder there. But yeah, I think you're right. Like vision was cast as we celebrated the decade that was and look forward to the decade ahead. And with all these things, even our plans for this year, holding them with an open hand of like, but we only want you, God, in the midst of this. We only want what you want. And what I do love, as a team and as staff and as those who are volunteers that lead and all that stuff, there is such a heartbeat of, this isn't about us. This is about the kingdom. And this is about God being glorified.
Yeah.
And we're not just trying to make everyone do what we want to do because we want to do it.
Yeah.
There is a hunger within the people that we are doing life and community with, the people that we are reaching. And I have to only step back and acknowledge, like, that can only be God. Obviously our efforts count, but the excitement and the desire, it can only be through his Spirit, I think.
I want to read a verse for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark chapter 1, verse 28. And it says, and at once his fame spread everywhere, throughout all the surrounding region of Galilee. I kind of made mention of it yesterday about the impact of God's kingdom and the good news through the region. I said Middlesex Center, Lambton Shores, Huron. Amy, I have been convicted deeply about the region in which Vitalpoint Church is in. And I love this verse in Mark chapter 1. And at once his fame, Amy, his fame spread everywhere. And I don't want people to leave hearing me say, we want Vitalpoint Church to be known.
Yeah.
I don't want people hearing, we want Ron's name to be known. No. We want the fame of the name of Jesus spread.
Yeah.
This morning at the gym, I'm at a new gym, and I met this guy for the first time. It was my first time at this gym, at an official class, and I was talking with this guy afterwards, and he lives around the corner from me. We discovered, and I asked him what he did, and then he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a pastor." And we just stood there chatting for a minute. I said, "So do you like have a church background or not?" He says, No, I'm not really religious at all." And what struck me about the conversation, I should have followed up quickly. I'm not religious either, but what I love about what we're doing is creating an environment for people like this guy.
Yep.
Right? That it's not about religion. It's not about the forms of rituals. It's actually about Jesus.
Yeah.
And the region that we're in as a church, the regions that we're in as a church, overlap in a way where we're going to see in 2025 the expansion of that through the network, through our own church planting, and in these small towns, and the revitalization of these communities. It's going to be a year to behold. So you asked me about the 5 things, or you asked me about the practical things.
Yeah. Especially for those that are listening and maybe miss, you did real quick.
What are 5
few pieces that we can go for?
Yeah. Pray.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the hard work of prayer, right? We've had prayer events at our sites. The second one was get connected. You put me on the test here. The second one was get connected. The third one was give. Give is not about being generous. It's about being obedient. If you're a follower of Jesus, obedience is giving back to God what's already his. Invite. Continue to invite friends into these environments. A young guy told me, 20-something guy told me that last week. He said, I've never felt so comfortable inviting my non-church friends to church.
And this is a kid that grew up in church.
And he grew up in church, yeah. And the last one would be attend. Attend. Like, I'm amazed at how many people will say to me, we just didn't feel like coming to church today. That's the day you need to get your butt.
Well,
you were waiting, weren't you, Amy? You were like, is he going to say this?
Shifted.
Yeah. Those are the days. I was driving to the office this morning, getting ready for this podcast, just praying through, thinking about. I believe that God honors those who get up and come to gatherings on Sundays. The intentionality, the sacrifice, the determination, and the mornings that you get up and you feel like you're not going to be there is the mornings you need to be there, because you got something to contribute, to bring, but also God might have something for you. Yeah. And so those are the 5 things. So what is it? Pray, connect, give, invite, and attend.
You did it.
I did it. Oftentimes when I preach on a Sunday, I can't remember what I preached the next day. So I got it. So
there you go. Yeah. And to be honest, like maybe you don't do any of those things and that seems overwhelming. Start with one.
Absolutely.
January, I'm just going to keep showing up to church, whether I feel like it or not.
Oh, Amy, that's so good.
And I'm going to hang around and I'm going to get a coffee. I'm going to meet someone I didn't know before. And then next month I'm going to, next month I'm going to look at, talk to my state pastor. How can I get involved? How can I be connected? Where do you need help? What maybe am I good at? Like, and find that spot where you can just get started. Even if you're like, never hung out with kids in my life, don't have kids in my life, but I'm going to join the kids team, see what that's like, right? Just get started and one thing at a time. And 6 months from now, you're just going to be a champion of them all. And it's going to be amazing. Yeah, that's so good. There is, and I even heard this amongst my team yesterday, there definitely is an anticipation for 2025, but there is also a sense of peace and calm in the midst. There's lots ahead, but there's a peace and calm. And that was actually my prayer for all of our team yesterday when I was preparing my heart, that his peace that goes beyond all understanding protect our minds and our hearts and protect us from thinking we're anything more than what we are. Also protecting us from our fears or insecurities and those kinds of things, and just letting his truth rest and his peace rest on us as we just take one step forward at a time. So it truly will be a year to behold and excited to see what God will do. And I don't know, maybe in a few years we'll look back at this podcast and laugh at ourselves, had no idea what we were getting into. Who knows? But we trust God.
Well, I think what you're right, just as we wrap this up, is that as exciting as it is, it comes with challenges. And I'd rather move forward into the things that we believe God's wanting to do, even though there's going to be challenges, even though we're at times going to be tired and exhausted, and at times we're going to have to step back and recalibrate. And I would rather do that than to just coast.
Absolutely.
Which I'm tempted to do sometimes, Amy.
Sure,
I'm not lying. I would not. I said to David, our site pastor in Exeter, a while ago, I don't know, sometime last year, I said, maybe we should just be happy with 4 sites and just kind of settle down and just work on that. He goes, yeah, right. Yeah.
See behind me?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, it's so good to have this conversation. I mean, if you're listening to this and you didn't hear the talk, I do encourage you to listen to the full conversation, the details of this talk and launching of this year. If you're listening to this and you have never taken starting points before, you're exploring growing here at Vitalpoint, this is for anyone across all sites. We are kicking it off tomorrow night, 7:30. You can sign up on the website under the next steps there. And that would be a great action step to one of these pieces that Ron has talked about. And it's going to be such a great time. Get to meet people from all across sites. And if you are in the Poplar Hill area, we are going to 3 services next Sunday. So make sure that you're aware of that.
What is that date? January 12th.
January 12th.
2025.
Great. Yeah. You could be listening to this at any time. So anyways, 3 services, super exciting, making room for more people to come and encounter Jesus. All right. Well, this was a long one. Thanks for hanging in there, guys, and enjoy the rest of your week. Appreciate you all. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Amy.